the cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
Right, or in this case, a really massive, inescapable reckoning.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today, we're jumping into a headline that is absolutely dominating the culture right now. The story is, Jared Leto responds after new allegations surface.
It is everywhere. You really can't log online without seeing it.
No, you can't. And if you're holding a backstage VIP pass at, like, a massive arena concert or a summer music festival, it feels like this laminated piece of magic.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a golden ticket.
Yeah, it hangs around your neck and just grants you access to this secret, highly guarded world. You walk past the velvet ropes, you slide right by the burly security guards, and suddenly you are in this exclusive bubble.
Where the normal rules of the outside world they don't seem to apply at all.
Exactly. It feels glamorous, it feels exciting, and paradoxically, it feels safe because it's so tightly controlled by the artist's own team.
But what happens when that tight control, that exclusive bubble, isn't actually designed to keep the chaos out, but rather to keep vulnerability in?
Wow. Yeah, that's the core question here.
Right, like when the massive multi-million-dollar machinery of fame is allegedly utilized to isolate rather than protect.
And that is the exact tension at the center of the sources we are looking at today. We're exploring a major pop culture reckoning currently shaking the entire entertainment industry.
We really are. The stack of sources today is intense.
It is. We've got reporting from CBS News, cultural commentary from The Guardian, and legal analysis from Law Commentary. And they're all converging on one massive focal point.
The explosive new BBC documentary titled Jared Leto, Hollywood's Dark Secret.
Right. We're looking at Jared Leto, Oscar-winning actor, the really charismatic frontman for the global rock band 30 Seconds to Mars.
A total staple of red carpets and high fashion.
Yeah, and he's now facing a barrage of deeply serious new allegations of criminal sexual misconduct that span well over a decade.
It is a profound shift in the cultural conversation, and I mean one that requires a very careful parsing of the timeline and the facts presented in these reports.
Absolutely. And before we go any further, I need to explicitly lay out the framework for you, our listener. These are profoundly serious allegations of criminal behavior.
Yes, very serious.
And Jared Leto has categorically and absolutely denied all of these claims. He has never faced criminal charges for these allegations.
That's a crucial point to remember.
Right. In this deep dive, we are not taking sides, we are not endorsing any viewpoints, and we are certainly not acting as judge and jury.
No, not at all.
Our goal here is strictly to impartially report on the contents, the claims, and the systemic analysis found in the provided source material.
So that you can fully understand the scope of the massive conversation currently dominating the media landscape.
Exactly. We are mapping the anatomy of scandal, really, and the mechanics of the media's reaction to it based entirely on the reporting in front of us.
So let's get right into the specifics laid out in the BBC documentary.
Yes, which was directed by Alice McShane and reported by Jessica Sartner. The sheer volume and specificity of the testimonies, I mean, that's what makes this documentary such a flashpoint.
Yeah, it's really staggering when you look at the number.
Right. Out of 10 women who spoke to the filmmakers, 9 are sharing their stories publicly for the very first time.
Wow. 9 out of 10.
Yeah. And within that group, 4 women are explicitly alleging criminal sexual conduct that occurred when they were teenagers.
And that was specifically between the years of 2002 and 2016, according to the doc.
Right, which means Leto, who is now 54, would have been in his 30s and 40s during this time frame.
The age dynamic is the critical through line in these specific allegations. The sources highlight a grown man at the height of his global fame interacting with accusers who were, by legal definition and developmental reality, adolescents.
And the sources paint a harrowing picture of these encounters. Let's outline the specifics so you have a clear understanding of what the BBC has brought to light.
Yeah, the details are intense.
First, there is a woman who alleges that when she was 17 years old, she was sexually assaulted by Leto in what she described as a dingy, gross motel bathroom.
Oh, wow.
She claims he started kissing her and used her hand to masturbate himself before she finally managed to pull away.
That is, yeah, incredibly disturbing.
And then another woman alleges that when she was 19, she was threatened with sexual assault while she found herself alone with him in a London hotel room.
Notice the sudden transition there from public or semi-public spaces to highly private, confined environments.
Right. Behind closed doors.
Exactly. The isolation factor in these accounts is a repeating pattern that the documentary really emphasizes.
And the details get even more disturbing when you look at the power disparity. A third woman, identified in the documentary as Clara, claims she had sex with Leto at his California home when she was just 17 and he was 34.
Which is a massive age gap.
Yeah, and as the legal reporting points out, under California law, this actually qualifies as statutory rape.
Right, because the law in California and many other places, honestly, explicitly recognizes that a minor cannot legally consent to a sexual relationship with an adult of that age gap.
Largely because of the inherent imbalance of power and life experience.
Exactly. It's a developmental issue.
And Clara recounted a deeply unsettling detail to the BBC, noting that Leto asked her to use a paternal nickname.
Oh, I read this part.
Yeah, specifically, he told her he would like her to call him Daddy. And he completely brushed off her stated concerns about the legal age of consent.
Just completely dismissed it.
Yeah. Finally, there is an account from a woman who was just 14 years old at a 2005 music festival. She alleges Leto signed her bare chest instead of her T-shirt, made a crude comment about her body, and then simply had his bodyguard bring her backstage without even asking if she wanted to go.
And the reporting notes that when her mother later confronted the actor about the remark, he allegedly just repeated it right to her face.
Just right to the mom's face.
Yeah. The documentary uses this to illustrate a staggering level of alleged brazenness and, frankly, perceived impunity.
Okay, let's unpack this because this is where the mechanics of the situation really confuse me.
How so?
Well, reading these sources, I understand how someone might be coerced in a private home, right?
Yeah.
But how does a massive, highly recognizable star allegedly operate this way in highly public, crowded spaces like summer festivals?
It does seem counterintuitive.
Right. It's like a dam breaking after years of localized leaks, but you have thousands of people around. How does a bodyguard just pluck a 14-year-old out of a crowd and isolate her without causing a massive scene?
What's fascinating here is it really comes down to the physical and psychological architecture of VIP access.
The architecture.
Yeah. The BBC doc and the accompanying reporting highlight how Leto allegedly leveraged the massive infrastructure of his 20 Seconds to Mars tours.
Because it's a huge production.
Exactly. A stadium tour or a festival headline act isn't just one guy with a guitar. It is basically a militarized zone. There are layers of credentials, barricades, and security zones.
Right, you can't just walk back there.
No, the band's team controls the physical space entirely. The sources allege that he used this infrastructure, this golden ticket allure we talked about earlier, to create environments where young, naive fans could be separated from their friends or the general public.
So the infrastructure itself is the tool of isolation.
Precisely. Think about the psychological impact on a teenager. If a massive, intimidating security guard with an earpiece points at a 14-year-old and says, "Come with me, the lead singer wants to see you," the power imbalance is astronomical.
Oh, I can't even imagine. You'd be terrified, but also amazed.
Right. The victim is isolated not just physically behind layers of concrete hallways and security doors, but psychologically.
Yeah.
They are in an environment where every single adult works for the person summoning them.
That's so true. Everyone is on his payroll.
Exactly. Clara, the woman in California, specifically told the BBC she was naive and vulnerable and unsure if this behavior was normal in an adult relationship.
Because how would she know?
Right. The weaponization of awe is incredibly effective. When a global icon, backed by a team of professionals, dictates the terms of reality to a teenager, it completely warps their ability to recognize danger, let alone physically escape it or scream for help.
Because in that moment, screaming feels like you're breaking the rules of this exclusive world you've just been invited into.
You don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, you're too starstruck and intimidated to realize you're being cornered. But the fact that a 14-year-old was allegedly grabbed by a bodyguard doesn't just point to one bad night. It points to a systemic infrastructure.
A machine built to do exactly that.
Yes, and you don't build that kind of security apparatus overnight, which makes me look back at the timeline the sources provide. It becomes glaringly obvious that these allegations didn't just fall out of a clear blue sky in 2026.
No, not at all.
The sources reveal a long, thoroughly documented trail of what the industry likes to call an open secret. And that's not even the wildest part. Later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking legal twist nobody saw coming with the NDAs.
Yeah, the open secret thing is wild. which is often just a polite, sanitized Hollywood term for collective complicity.
Absolutely.
The breadcrumbs have been sitting in the public square for 2 decades.
Look at the historical trail the sources lay out.
Uh,
We are talking about a 2005 New York Post gossip column.
2005.
That is a long time ago.
Over 20 years. The column explicitly described Leto as aggressively pursuing, quote, underage objects of desire.
In print, for
Exactly.
everyone to read.
In print. Then jump to 2018. You have major public figures, actor Dylan Sprouse and director James Gunn, the man who currently runs DC Studios, publicly tweeting jokes about Leto's interest in teen girls.
Right, this wasn't hidden on some obscure dark web message board.
No, it was on Main Street Twitter, broadcast to millions of followers.
And we really can't forget the June 2025 investigation by airmail.
Oh, that piece was massive. Yeah. It was a detailed piece of journalism where 9 women, including Los Angeles DJ Allie Tells, accused him of predatory behavior.
Yeah, she was very vocal.
Tells went on the record saying he forced himself on her backstage when she was 17, explicitly stating, quote, he knew my age and didn't care.
Wow.
And the BBC documentary claims they actually counted over 120 separate allegations made about his behavior toward women across various online platforms over the years.
120 separate allegations.
Yeah.
And perhaps the most chilling piece of evidence of this so-called open secret is the archive footage featured in the documentary itself.
Oh, the movie quote.
Yes. They show a clip of Leto actually quoting the famous, deeply creepy line from the movie Dazed and Confused. He literally says, I keep getting older, but they stay the same age.
Just right out in the open.
He said the quiet part out loud, on camera, to the press, which leads us to the people standing right next to him while he was saying it, the enablers.
Right.
The machinery that keeps the star shining and the tour buses rolling. Exactly. The BBC spoke to 2 former male employees of 30 Seconds to Mars. They admitted on the record that the band's staff felt the age gaps were entirely inappropriate.
So they knew.
They knew. They confessed to being uncomfortable with Leto constantly inviting teen girls back to his dressing room and to the house where the band recorded their music. And yet, the machine kept rolling.
It always does.
Which brings us to the legal reporting, which highlights a specific mechanism of this machinery. One victim, who goes by Etta in the doc, was sent a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, by Leto's legal team.
Which is just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, after he allegedly sent her explicit emails and made sexual phone calls to her when he knew she was just 16.
An NDA sent to a 16-year-old. The legal and ethical implications of that single act are staggering.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting for me. I struggle to buy that this is entirely just a passive culture of silence.
Why is that?
Well, if major Hollywood directors are tweeting jokes about this in 2018, it's not silent. It's loud. People knew. The press knew.
That's a fair point.
So what is the actual mechanism stopping a major broadcast network from doing a rigorous investigation back then? Why did everyone just laugh at the tweets, read the gossip columns, and move on for 20 years?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's because the entertainment industry operates as a highly powerful, self-sustaining ecosystem fueled by intense financial interests.
It's all about the money.
Always. A massive touring band like 30 Seconds to Mars or a tentpole movie star isn't just a person, they are a multi-million-dollar corporation.
Right. There's a whole economy around them.
Exactly. Hundreds of people rely on that single star for their mortgages and their children's tuition managers, publicists, lighting crew, booking agents, lawyers.
So it's not that they don't see it, it's that investigating it threatens the entire corporate structure.
Absolutely. The financial interests create an active defensive perimeter. It is not passive silence. It is active suppression.
Active suppression.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, when a 16-year-old is handed an NDA, she isn't just being asked to keep quiet. She is being legally threatened by some of the most expensive corporate lawyers in the world.
Because they want to scare her.
The legalese is designed to terrify. The victims are told implicitly through this intimidation or explicitly by fixers that no one will ever believe them over an Oscar-winning, stadium-filling icon.
And honestly, for a 16-year-old, that's probably very convincing.
They are threatened with public ruin and endless litigation. And for 20 years, the industry basically proved that assertion right.
Yeah, it really did.
The enablers you mentioned, the staff who felt uncomfortable, they don't just tolerate the behavior. They actively manage the risk so the revenue stream doesn't dry up.
Wow.
If a publicist sees a bad gossip column in 2005, their job is to kill the story, offer the publication an exclusive interview on something else to distract them, and just keep the money flowing.
The revenue stream dictates the morality. And hey, if you're loving these Hollywood twists and unpacking the real story behind the headlines, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
Definitely hit that subscribe button.
Because that brings us to a fascinating and deeply cynical pivot in our source stack today. Leto's response and the incredibly precise timing of Hollywood's sudden willingness to listen.
The timing is everything here.
It really is. First, let's look at the defense. As we noted at the top, Leto is fighting back aggressively. Through his representatives, he provided a very firm statement to the BBC, The Hollywood Reporter, and other outlets.
What did he say exactly?
He stated, quote, "I have never sexually assaulted anyone in my entire life. These claims are absolutely and categorically false."
Right.
The sources emphasized that Leto has been plagued by these rumors for years and has consistently, vehemently denied all wrongdoing.
And we must reiterate, it remains a fact that no criminal charges have ever been filed against him by any law enforcement agency.
That is an important fact.
Yes. In the eyes of the law, he is an innocent man facing a media trial.
But the court of public opinion and the media landscape is shifting rapidly beneath him. And this is where we get a razor-sharp piece of commentary from The Guardian's review of the documentary.
Oh, this review is brutal.
It was. The reviewer points out a potential and deeply cynical reason why major media networks and Hollywood power players might finally be ready to amplify these women's voices in 2026.
And what's their theory?
According to The Guardian, it comes down to basic math. Leto's fading box office power.
The stark intersection of morality, accountability, and commerce.
Exactly. The source notes that his recent blockbuster attempt, Tron Ares, was a massive financial disaster. They reportedly lost around $130 million for the studio.
That is a staggering loss.
It's huge. Furthermore, his turn as Skeletor in the new live-action Masters of the Universe movie is currently tracking as one of the biggest flops of the year.
So the hits just keep coming, but not the good kind.
Right, so this makes me wonder, is Hollywood's moral compass directly, inextricably tied to a star's financial viability? Are studio executives and media conglomerates really only willing to round on an alleged predator when the bottom line is weak?
This raises an important question. It really does.
Yeah.
It forces us to look at how accountability actually functions in the entertainment industry, not how we wish it functioned.
Yeah, the reality of the business.
Let's compare the Jared Leto of 2026, starring in historic box office flops, to his status back in 2014.
Oh, 2014 Leto was everywhere.
In 2014, he was untouchable. He had just won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Dallas Buyers Club.
Right.
He was a prestige talent, highly bankable, beloved by critics, and a darling of high-end fashion houses.
He could do no wrong.
Exactly. During that exact peak, the rumors were still there, the 2005 gossip columns had already been written, the behavior was allegedly happening, but the industry machinery protected him flawlessly because he was immensely profitable.
He was generating too much cash for too many people. You don't investigate the guy keeping the lights on at the studio.
Precisely. Power and profitability serve as the ultimate shield against accountability. When an actor is making a studio hundreds of millions of dollars, the studio's PR department will spend whatever it takes to suppress whisper networks and bury scandals.
That makes total sense, sadly.
What The Guardian is suggesting is that the shield is only lowered when the profits dry up.
Wow.
Yeah, when a star becomes a financial liability, when an executive looks at a spreadsheet and sees a $130 million loss on Tron, the risk calculus changes completely.
So they just quit him loose.
Right. The star is no longer worth the cost of the cover-up. Suddenly, the industry discovers its conscience. The whisper networks that were previously suppressed are suddenly allowed to become prime-time BBC documentaries.
So instead of a dam breaking, this is more like an industry crest fracture finally shattering.
That's a great way to put it.
The pressure was always there, but the structural integrity of his fame finally got too weak to hold it back. That is a brutally cynical view of the industry. But looking at the timeline the sources provide, it is incredibly hard to argue with the logic.
The math doesn't lie.
It doesn't. The 2005 allegations were ignored during his rise to prestige. The 2018 tweets were laughed off during his peak. And the 2026 allegations are amplified globally during his financial fall.
It forces you to reevaluate every single scandal you see breaking in the news.
It really does. And stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because we cover this kind of industry shift all the time.
It demands that we look at the economic context of every cancellation or cultural reckoning.
Yeah, you really have to ask who is profiting.
Right, we have to ask. Who benefited from the silence for the past 20 years, and who suddenly benefits from the exposure today? Accountability in Hollywood is rarely about a sudden awakening to justice. It is almost always preceded by a decline in market value.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Why should you care about the inner workings of Jared Leto's tour security, or the legal framing of NDAs, or the box office returns of Tron, Heirs?
It's a fair question to ask.
Because as consumers of pop culture, as the people who buy the concert tickets, stream the music, and pay for the movie tickets, understanding the machinery that protects powerful figures is essential.
It's your money funding the machine.
Exactly. It helps you navigate and critically evaluate the media ecosystems you are choosing to support with your time and money.
It challenges you to stop taking the polished, PR-approved image at face value, to look beyond the glamour of the red carpet and the carefully curated social media feeds, to see the real-world, sometimes very dark corporate dynamics at play behind the scenes.
The stuff they don't want you to see.
Exactly. When you understand how NDAs are weaponized to terrify minors, how enablers justify their complicity to keep their paychecks, and how financial incentives dictate who gets protected and who gets exposed, well, you become a much more literate and powerful consumer of media.
Exactly. It's about stripping away the illusion of the machinery. But before we wrap up this deep dive into the sources, we want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Something to think about next time you go to a show.
We've spent a lot of time today talking about how these alleged incidents were facilitated by the unique, heavily guarded environment of music festivals and arena tours.
We detailed the isolation tactics used backstage and how the physical infrastructure of a tour can be used to separate vulnerable fans from safety.
Right. And given that so many of these alleged encounters relied on exploiting the VIP access culture, it leaves us with a massive industry-wide question for the future.
Will the live music industry eventually be forced to completely restructure VIP fan access and backstage protocols?
Will we see a day when unaccompanied minors are strictly legally prohibited from backstage areas across the board?
I mean, it seems like a no-brainer at this point.
Right. Will insurance companies and tour promoters be forced to build systemic, unbreachable guardrails to prevent artists from exploiting their massive influence over young fans?
It makes you wonder.
It makes you wonder if that golden ticket VIP pass we talked about at the start, that laminated pass granting access to a secret world behind the velvet ropes, actually needs a massive warning label attached to it.
Wow. Yeah, it really might.
Because as these sources allege, sometimes the most dangerous place in the entire arena isn't out in the chaos of the mosh pit. It's behind the closed doors of the dressing room.
That is a very chilling thought.
It is. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining. Take care of yourselves, and stay curious.